Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for your patience. We had some technical issues, but we got them worked out. So let me know in the chat if there's anything on your end that is incorrect, but you should be able to see the first slide, how Versapay can transform your AR. And with that said, I would just like to welcome the Versapay team, Stacy Dose and Brett Carto. They will be presenting. And if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them into the questions box, and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. So now I'm going to kick it over to Stacy to start the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Angie, and thank you everyone for taking the time out to be with us today. Again, we're having a few technical difficulties. Hopefully we get through this, but if you guys are having any issues along the way with seeing anything or hearing anything, please just feel free to drop a question over and Angie can address it. So having said that, I want to start with some introductions. Angie, if you want to move to the next slide. Again, Angie said my name is Stacy Dozy. I'm a regional partner manager here at Versapay. So I work directly with Innovia to help enable them and to help work with their customers. With me, I have Brett Carto. He is one of our AR automation sales executives. He's been in this space for quite a while. He'll be here to help me talk a little bit more intuitively about the product, how he's seen it used in the past, and of course to help with any questions that you guys may have along the way. You can go ahead and hit next, Angie.
Hi, everyone.
So thanks, Brett. A real quick overview on what we want to cover today. And Angie, if you want to hit next. We have a really simplified agenda for the day. So I want to just give you a quick overview on who Versapay is and what we do. I want to talk about what your AR may look like today within your ERP, which is likely BC, I'm assuming. What your AR can look like with the AR automation tool from Versapay. So we want to kind of tell you what the value add is compared to what you may have today. And then we'll end with some closing thoughts and questions along the way. So again, if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the question box anywhere along the way. So go ahead, and Angie, and you can do the next two relatively quickly. So first, who are we and what do we do? So some of you may know, and Angie, you can go ahead and flip to the next one. Some of you may have actually heard of us in the past as ChargeLogic. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the Versapay name might not be as familiar to you, but we are also formerly Versapay. So we had some mergers in the last 11, 12 months. So Versapay is now a combined company of formerly Versapay, SoluPay, ChargeLogic, and 2CP. I'm not going to read all of these stats. We're currently at over 300 people. We're serving 8,000 customers, and really, we're really here to help companies transform their AR in whole. You can go ahead and move to the next one, Angie. As far as a solution set goes, those of you who know of us in the past from the ChargeLogic side or have heard of ChargeLogic probably know us for our integrated payment solution. And that's still here. It's still the same. If anything, it's going to get only more robust and better, but we still have that same integrated payment solution that you know. So if you have a need to take any credit card payments, that would be a tool that you can use. With the merger with Versapay, we also included this product called AR Automation. That was formerly known as ARC, so you may have heard that in the past. We may refer to it lovingly as ARC as well, which stands for AR Cloud. And so what that does is it provides a little bit of a boost on your traditional payments and AR functionality. So what you see here in orange is if you move along the spectrum from our previous integrated payments program or platform over to the AR platform, you're going to get some additional enhanced functionality. And I'll talk more about that during the presentation. But the pieces in orange are some of those really value adds that we're including. So you still have electronic delivery that you may have known or seen in ChargeLogic, but there's also tracking functionality. So again, I'm not going to read through all this. We are going to step through some of this as we go through the presentation today. But if you have questions about any of this, please make sure and let us know. You can go ahead and move to the next slide, Angie. Just a real quick snapshot for anybody who might be looking at, where does this fit? Some of you may already be thinking, is AR automation something that we want to look at? Many of you have probably already automated your accounts payable. And so accounts receivable automation is really new for people. And it's something that, is really kind of, as we call it, the final frontier. So we do have kind of some ideas here on who might be a good fit. So it's really a good fit for anybody selling B2B. If you're selling on terms to customers, so you're carrying an accounts receivable. 250 invoices a month or more. Once you hit 1,000 invoices a month, that's really gets to be where you're going to see a lot of value add. But depending upon your needs and what problems you're trying to solve, you certainly can go lower in the spectrum and gain benefit from the AR platform. If you're accepting paper checks today and maybe you want to move away from that to whether it's a lockbox or ACH or something like that. And then we do have some target industries. This is by no means a complete list of where we fit, but it just gives you an idea of where we've seen success in the past. So you can go ahead and move forward, Angie. So let's talk about really quickly what your AR looks like in BC. And I want to just add a caveat here. I am not a BC user. I have done accounts receivable in some products in the past, so I know a little bit. So please don't take this, for everything that, I don't know everything that you're doing in BC, but this is generally an overview of what most ERPs have to offer when it comes to accounts receivable. So at a base level, and at this point, we're going to assume that invoicing has already been completed, correct? So whether you're entering an invoice directly in D365 BC or whether it's come in from some external source, we're going to assume the invoice has already been entered at this point. So within BC, you're likely manually entering payments. You may have some other software integrations where you're bringing in, some lockbox information, but generally you're manually entering payments. You're having to apply those payments to invoices, and you're also having to manually apply credits. And this isn't unheard of. This is actually very common with most ERPs. The problem here is that you are prone to making errors, whether it's keying errors, you key the amount of the check, maybe it gets inadvertently applied to the wrong customer account. Maybe it's applied to the wrong invoice because they didn't give any supporting documentation of where they wanted that payment applied. So you might do a methodology of I'm going to apply it to the oldest invoice, and now your records are mismatched from that of the customer. So that's generally what you may see when it comes to some of the payment and credit entry and application within the ERP. And go ahead and move forward, Angie. The next piece of accounts receivable generally is going to be, and I'm bulking this together obviously, but statements and collections. So these are kind of the things that you're going to do beyond the payment of the invoice. So most ERPs, and BC included, allow you to print statements. There's statement functionality out of the box. I'm sure you can customize those and make them look however you like. You generally can also bulk deliver those, I believe, especially with a little bit of work from Manovia staff. They can help you to bulk deliver those. So you do certainly have the ability to print statements, which is nice. I do believe in BC you can get some nice basic customer statistics, so you can kind of see a little bit of a snapshot on the customer. And you can print an aging report. So personally, for me, years ago, I did do collections, as I said, and we would print an aging report, and I would make my phone calls and I would write my notes on the aging report as far as who said they were going to make a payment and when I should expect it. And then I got to save all those printed aging reports to see who was actually keeping up on their promises, right? So, to my knowledge, I don't believe there's a whole lot out of the box in BC that's going to do much more than that, right? Allow you to print and see who owes you stuff, but there's not a lot of collection capability. You probably have some notes fields that you could use or something like that, but nothing inherently built into the ERP. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. So now we want to take a step forward and talk about what does the AR automation platform do for you? Before we get to that, we do want to pop up a quick poll. Andy, are you able to throw that poll up? And
yes,
if you
that was a little too quick.
No, that's okay. Thanks, Angie. So if each of you could just take a moment to answer this question, if you could improve one thing about your AR, what would that be? More automated processes, improving the payment time from customers, better tracking, or something completely different?
Just a couple more moments while we're collecting the responses, and I'll launch those in just a moment.
Awesome. Thank you, Angie.
All right. It looks like we have 100% more automated process.
Understandable. So no, that's great. I appreciate you all for participating in that. Thank you so much. So let's talk about how maybe the AR automation platform can help you with that. How can we help transform your AR by using this tool? So you can go ahead and move forward, Angie. So Real quick, we just want to give you a little bit of a visual about some of the gaps that we're seeing today between you and your customers, right? So this could be the AR AP gap, your AR department, their AP gap. And so what are some of the main things? And I like this graphic because I'm sure any of you who are working directly in AR or who are managing an AR department are seeing some of these things. You know, invoices are lost or can't be found, the wrong person got them, maybe they got them and saying they didn't. Discrepancies on the invoice, and so it's really time consuming if there are discrepancies on doing that whole dispute process, and how do we clarify where those discrepancies are. Invoices stuck, checks getting lost in the mail, cash applications. So this is really some of the things that we looked at as an organization and how we could help to close this gap. You can go ahead and go forward, Angie. So one of the first things, and I did touch on this really briefly, one of the first things that the AR automation tool offers is the electronic delivery with tracking. So as I said before, it's very common, one of the first stumbling blocks in the AR department is calling a customer and them saying, hey, I didn't get the invoice, or I don't have the invoice, or I misplaced the invoice. So, you know, this is a good tool, but I also understand the practicality of it. You can see on the right-hand side where it says delivery, I underlined a couple. You can see if the email's been opened, if it's been viewed. You can see further down one that was delivered. This is great information to have, especially for repeat offenders. I'm not suggesting that any of you go into combat with your customers saying, hey, I can see right here that you viewed the email, you must have it. So, I mean, it's good information to have. The other thing, and Brett, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and you can, if you have anything to add on this slide, we can also resend invoices directly from here. So if you're talking to a customer and they're saying, hey, I didn't get it, and you see it's been opened, you can resend it again pretty quickly, correct, Brett?
That's 100% right. It's a really nice bridge between what your customers are seeing in terms of all their invoices present and what you as the supplier can do on your side in terms of helping in customer support mode deliver what your customers want. So if in fact they didn't receive the invoice, you know, albeit you've got the information to know otherwise, that notwithstanding, with one click of the button, you can resend that invoice, help them schedule the payment right on that same call, or do anything else from a customer service perspective that calls for on the call. Thanks, Stacey.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Angie, you can go to the next slide. So one of the other things that we offer is what I like to just a frictionless customer portal access. And so I'm going to get more into this in a minute, but when you deliver an invoice from the AR automation platform, you're going to send one of the many templates that are available to you. So this is just one example of a template that's gone out to a customer. It's gone out to their inbox. And there's a couple of different options I want to point out to you. First of all, they do have the ability to just go ahead and click here to pay. So that's kind of our pay now function. So they can just click to pay if they're aware of it. Maybe it's a standing invoice where they know it's the same amount all the time. But if they're not really sure, they can also click into the invoice number or the view invoices. There's a lot of different places they can go to see more information. So go ahead and go to the next screen, Angie, and I'm just going to show you a couple of these scenarios. So the first one is the pay now. This is meant to be really quick and easy. So how do you get a customer from getting an invoice in their inbox to actually receiving payment in a very simplified fashion? So you give them this pay now option where they can come in, they can enter their payment information, and they go ahead and process it. I mean, I'm probably oversimplifying. Brett, any more you want to add to that?
No, I mean, you're describing what we call the happy path, and I don't have anything to add. That it is as simple as 3 clicks for your customers to come on, see very cleanly what they owe you, and make that payment.
Perfect, thank you. So Angie, do you want to go to the next one? Which, remember, on that first screen I showed you, you could go ahead and click to view the invoice. So one thing that I want to point out to you really quickly is they got an email and they clicked on a link, and now they're actually inside of a customer portal. There was no login that they had to go through. I believe there is an acceptance of terms checkbox that they have to do, and it is a tokenized link, so it's not something that can just be broadly spread to anybody in the organization or outside of the organization. But what it does is it takes them directly into a customer portal where they can see information and they can begin to do a lot more on their account. So now they can see the invoice details, you can see the line item details, and the pricing. This is directly coming from the ERP. You'll see a couple of different options across the top. They can make payments, they can do auto pays. They can do a lot of different things, but the next thing that I want to talk to you about is how they can actually begin a dispute. So you'll notice on the bottom, and then we'll go to the next screen, you'll notice at the bottom it does say view comments or open a dispute. So Angie, if you want to change, go to the next slide. If you think about this realistically, even from your own standpoint, have you ever received an invoice where it wasn't correct? And your path is usually that you have to pick up the phone and you've already probably begun a debate with yourself. All right, do I have time to make this call right now? How long am I going to be on hold? What other information do I have to make this phone call? And so this is a really, really nice path for your customers to look at an invoice and go, hold on a second. This is not what we agreed upon. So you can see I added a note here that says item 2 is not the price that we agreed upon. You can attach additional documentation. So maybe if you had a quote or something like that where it had different pricing, or maybe it was an email from somebody or whatever sort of backup you want. There is a drop down for different categories. So in mine, I chose price is not agreed. And I can go ahead and click that comment. And you'll see in a little bit how that's going to push back to you, the supplier. But this is a really quick, easy way for a customer to say, wait, this is not what we agreed upon. Brett, anything else to add on that?
Yeah, in fact, so if I tie this back to the group, I'm not surprised that 100% of you on the call highlighted a more automated way of accomplishing your AR processes as the #1 issue today. And when you think about it, what Stacey's walking you through should attest to just that, right? What we're told by our customers is, if there are disputes, if there are reasons to collaborate on an invoice because something was incorrect, pricing was communicated wrong, there's a whole host of issues. The biggest problem is typically, an email would come in or somebody answered a phone call, and keeping track of all that information about how to resolve this issue in one coherent spot so that the right actions can be taken are really the crux of this problem. And so as this is more apparent in a more live demo, of course, but hopefully it's getting your ears to perk up to say, by providing capabilities to capture every comment that the customer wants to make about a reason why they're disputing the invoice and vice versa from the supplier, these resolutions can be handled in a little bit more automated way, a little bit quicker, and the end result is a little bit better customer experience for that end user. Thanks, Stacey.
Perfect, thanks, Brett. So now we want to talk about the supplier portal, and just to let you know, I mean, the idea of today's webinar is just to give you guys an understanding of some of the features and functionality. We could actually really go into detail on a lot of different things. I didn't show you, for example, how they could actually short pay an invoice on their side. So if they did decide to pay everything but paid the difference on that invoice, we could accept a short payment, and they would just be required to enter a reason code as to why they did that. There is also additional functionality where they could actually create a login to the customer portal. They could start to save their payment information. Maybe they have different payment methods, whether it's bank accounts or credit cards that they want to use. So there's a lot more information behind it. We really just want to give you an idea of some of the features that are available here for you as a customer. So the flip side of this would be the supplier portal, and this would actually be your portal as the customer. So this is what you would see in terms of your accounts receivable. And again, this is a direct integration to what would be coming out of Business Central. So the first thing that we have here is just a really quick dashboard of your overall business. So it's showing you key metrics, your days sales outstanding at this point, average days to pay. You can see a quick aging at the bottom. There's color coding. I mean, it's just a really nice quick snapshot. The other thing you'll notice at the top left of that screen is it says all divisions, all currencies. If you want to drop this down and see just some sort of division of your business, so maybe it's one business unit or something like that, some category of your customers, you can easily do that and drill down into just that segment of your business. So it's very quick and easy, very dynamic. Anything else there, Brett, that I missed?
No, the ability to segment and look at various divisions or entities or any parts of the hierarchy is typically a really robust and favorable capability that people see when they evaluate this tool.
Perfect. So what I did here on the next slide is just showed you how we can just drill down into a specific customer. So in this case, I just from that screen just clicked on Tractor Supply Company. That happens to be the customer that we were kind of playing with before, that we sent them an invoice. So now you just have a really nice visual of the specific customer information. So again, you can kind of see what their days sales outstanding are. You can see their history, how many open and outstanding invoices they have, their credit limits. There's just a really nice snapshot of information available to that customer as well. Angie, if you want to go to the next slide. So then we're going to dig just a little bit deeper, and we're going to actually go directly into that invoice that we were talking about previously. So here again is a copy of that invoice 609058. And you can see, and now I'm in as you, the customer, the supplier, right? So now at the bottom, you can see an activity log, and you can see the note that came in from the customer saying, hey, item 2 is not the price we agreed upon. So you can see who entered that, the date and time that was entered. And you can go ahead and you can also add a new comment. So there will be a running activity log of what's happened on this invoice. So that's really nice. And that's what's allowing that collaboration with your customers where you don't have to be on the phone. I hate to say that. I know that our society is kind of going that way, but nobody wants to spend time talking to an AR department on the phone. I mean that, and most of you would probably agree with that, right? So this is a really quick, easy way to kind of share that information back and forth and see what that customer has to say about that dispute. Before I hand it over to Brett, I do want to point out one thing on the portals that we talked about earlier. I mean, on the main supplier screen, there are some really nice, robust reporting capabilities, and even ones where you can say, hey, show me all of my customers who have invoices that are over 30 days past due that have a dispute on them. Like you can literally drill it down that tightly. So you can say, I want to see only invoices that are past due with disputes. And then that can be maybe your work for the day. These are the things I need to attack for the day. Brett, anything else on any of that?
Nothing more.
Okay, awesome. So then this is just the last kind of screenshot I have for you in terms of the portal, and then we have a few more things. We're not quite done yet, if you'll bear with me. But as I said, these portals have a lot to offer. Again, from the supplier side, from you, meaning the end user, you'll see there's dashboards. You can view customers, you can view invoices. I went over to the activities tab and just took a screenshot of that. I just wanted to show you that you can also get a list of all of the activities that are happening within an organization, from payments to disputes or different things like that. So it is just another way for you to look at things holistically and maybe a little bit different in terms of the activity that's happening. So again, this is really intended just to give you an idea of some of the features and functionality that are available here. Certainly not everything, but these are kind of the end of these screenshots. I believe next I have another poll. Oh, actually there's one more piece. Angie, if you go to the next slide, we do have what I would call a bolt-on product, and it's called our advanced cash application. I am not the expert on this, so I'm actually going to let Brett talk to this.
Yeah, you put it really aptly though, Stacy, that it extends the capabilities in the customer portal. And all I really mean by that is, in a perfect world, when you as the supplier send out your invoices, in a perfect world, everybody would want to seamlessly be brought onto a customer portal such as this to engage with you, collaborate on that invoice, dispute it, and pay you. We know the realities, of course, are that your customers some of them are going to continue to pay you by check. They're going to continue to not embrace paying in digital ways, but are going to still be sending the check. A lot of you will be using lockbox services or receiving physical checks at the office. And as you can imagine, when you do that, there are a number of complexities with that check. Perhaps the remittance information that accompanies that check is incomplete or illegible. The amount on the check doesn't match what your records are showing the customer owes. And so there's this very manual process of when you receive a physical check for what to actually do with it, how to actually apply that cash. A lot of you will be using lockbox providers, perhaps a bank, perhaps another firm, to provide you a service that would scan, key in, and apply as best they could that check to the open invoices. You're paying for that. Versapay's extension of the ARC platform gets rid of that whole keying function that I just mentioned when typically checks have to be scanned, keyed, and matched. Our tool has a layer of AI that automatically helps to match with the outstanding invoices that a customer owes, and learns and auto applies that check automatically to those open invoices, settles the invoice on the ERP side. So I was a little kludgy and long-winded on that, but certainly you'll be receiving payments along various different rails, and the advanced cash application extension of Versapay's ARC helps automate the way that cash application is happening with those offline or check payments. Happy to address that in a little bit more detail. I was a little long-winded there. I apologize.
No, awesome. Thank you, Brett. So if we want to move ahead, Angie, I believe the next poll question is up. I have one more poll question. So I just am wondering, even prior to this, or maybe in light of this webinar, how likely are you as an organization to consider AR automation in the next 12 months? And then while you guys are answering, we just have a couple of final thoughts that we'll go ahead and go through. And again, if you guys have any questions, oh, awesome. It looks like we're kind of split, somewhat likely and highly likely. And that's understandable. I think a lot of people would like to. It's just a matter of, is it feasible for any number of reasons? So again, thank you for participating. A couple of final thoughts. And as we move into the final thoughts, again, if you guys have any questions that you want to pop in to the question box for Angie, we can answer those at the end. But I just wanted to give a quick wrap up of, again, kind of how we as a company are seeing this AR automation. What we really want to do, and what we really want to help you to do, is to kind of develop this whole customer-centric AR. So how do you work more closely with your customers? How do you interact with them, and how do you make it easy for them to pay you? Because ideally, if you make it easy for them to pay you, you'll get paid faster. You'll have much better looking AR, and of course, during all of that, as we mentioned, we also want to automate these processes for you. So by having this online, it's very self-serve. So there's a lot of things that are being done by your customers. They can make payments on their own invoices. They can apply them to the right invoices. So we want to make it easy and, of course, secure. We didn't do a ton of talking around the security. There is all of the PCI compliance and tokenization that we didn't talk about. Certainly, if you guys have questions about that, we can get into that at another time, or even during the questions. But it is a very secure service for you as well. As I mentioned, that link is tokenized, and it cannot be shared when you send those invoices out. So we do want to make sure that this is very easy, customizable, and secure for your business. You can go to the next slide, Angie. And as I mentioned earlier, this business-to-business accounts receivable is really overdue for a change. We talked about all of the things that you as a business are likely automating today. I mean, how many years ago did you automate payroll? I'm guessing most of you have your payroll automated. And even I actually came from a sales tax organization before, so a lot of people were automating sales tax. Accounts payable has a lot of automation tools. And so this really is kind of the last frontier of things that we want to help you as a business to perfect and make easier, because right now you'll see all the things. I mean, it's slow, it's very manual, it's error prone, and it's expensive. And so we want to try to resolve these issues for you to get you into that full automation and bring you into the present day where AR can look much different for your business. And then finally, the last slide that we have here, just some of the things. I mean, nobody wants to read too many numbers and details, but there are some really good things that we've found through our past customers and our studies, that we generally are able to reduce manual processes by more than 30%. We generally have an average savings of 20% on payment processing fees. So that really has to do with the collection of payments via credit card, because we are a merchant ourselves, so we can save you generally on average of 20% or more. And we are accelerating your payment and collection rate. I mean, again, if you think of how quick and easy it is for a customer to pay, even if they're partial paying, it's better than no payment at all, right? Because you can deal with that last 10% of an invoice. So these are the things that we hope to help your business with in terms of making those things better. So with that, I believe the last slide is just a thank you and any questions. Brett and I are both here, so if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer anything that you may have. And I did not go on video originally because I was worried about my internet. So now that I'm not presenting, I'll pop on. It's been a little shaky lately, so I apologize for being absent there. But any questions for anyone, Angie? Or Brett, maybe you have some final thoughts while people might be typing.
Yeah, I mean, just to the group, you got a very high level cursory intro into, why should customers care about an approach like this? I'm interested to know, like, what did you like about what you saw, and I guess even more importantly, what did you hate about what you saw? What, why wouldn't this be applicable to any business who is selling on terms?
And I don't know, we may not be able to, I don't know if everybody can be unmuted. If anybody wants to talk on the webinars, it might be difficult.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, and if there's not, Brett and I will stay on for a few minutes. So if anybody has any questions, additionally, if you guys have more questions, you can certainly reach out to your customer engagement manager at Innovia. They'd be happy to connect with us. I appreciate you guys taking the time and dealing with us and the little technical difficulties. Angie, you did a great job moving the slides. Thank you. And thank you to Innovia for having us.
Thank you. I did unmute you guys, so if you do want to say any of your questions to Stacy and Brett, you're more than welcome to, or just go ahead and get those typed in. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions, so I just want to thank you guys for presenting and thank all of you who are on our webinar today, or if you're watching on demand, thank you for taking the time out to join us.
Thanks, everyone.
And I do want to let you know that we do have more webinars coming up tomorrow, or I'm sorry, next week, the 29th, we have Data Haven. They will be presenting on your one source of truth, cross-platform document management. And then we also have next week, with so much talk about warehousing, do I really need it? And that is going to be with our very own Marguerite Manelski. So go to our website at innovia.com/events to check out the events that we have and to get registered for those that are appropriate for you. And we do have more workshops coming up. Check out our website at innovia.com/workshops to see which one is appropriate for you and that fits your role. We have many more added workshops on our website, and we have more that you can actually request. So check out those at innovia.com/workshops. And don't forget, fall is here, so that means conferences are coming up or happening right now. And Versapay will be at Community Summit in Houston, Texas, as well as Innovia Consulting. So stop by our booths and talk to the team members and visit the sessions that we will be speaking at for Summit. And you can check out our website on our conferences on our website at innovia.com/conferences. And also don't forget about our podcast. Our hosts, Steve Waltz and Jeff Progolski, have a lot of podcast selections for you to listen to. So check that out at innovia.com/podcast. All right, Stacy, Brett, thank you again. There were no final questions that came through, so if anybody has any further questions, we'll make sure that they get to you. And I just want to thank everyone again for attending.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.